I was in 1987 and who Annette was in 1987 and who we are today is a result of a growth process. So one of the things we have to remember on our spiritual journey is that we are evolving beings. And we can only live and practice the amount of truth we have in this moment. And what interferes with our spiritual path, the absolute most, is our fear. We think we can't. We have this little voice in our head. My voice probably has a different message than yours, but my voice says who you are is never enough. So it doesn't matter how many degrees I get. It doesn't matter how many achievements I have. I am now secretary of the board of trustees. That doesn't really matter because who I am is never enough. And that's our ego voice. That's our ego, our personality. And thank you, God, or rats on you, God, pick one. It's also the voice of our parents, our caregivers, telling us that whatever it was we did, you know, you can do better, try harder, and while they meant absolutely nothing but absolute love, as we all did when we communicated with our children, who now do or don't talk to us. But what we make the message be in our head is what we live with. And so when you live with a message that says the equivalent of my message, who you are is never enough, we have an opportunity. We choose in this moment to know the truth. We have to choose, which doesn't mean the next moment isn't going to present the same opportunity to us. Okay, we remembered for, 3.6 seconds. Oh God, I forgot again. Okay? But we have to keep reminding ourselves. We choose every single moment of every single day how it is we're going to be in that moment. Are we going to remember who we really truly are? Or are we going to forget and go, who I am is never enough? Sad. So that's the, see, I made that relevant. Aren't you excited?
Yes!
So from my perspective, out of all the unity principles we have, and you've got them on your own wall over there, but it's number 5 that's the whole point, guys.
Living it.
Because, maybe out here in Grand Junction, closer to God, you guys get very closer. Over in the city, it's really hard to remember.
Never quite enough.
It's hard to remember every minute. Every minute.
Now let's change that affirmation, please.
Every minute.
No, it's
No,
easy.
it's not hard.
Okay?
able
It's
to
a piece of
remember
cake.
everything.
It's a, whoa, yeah, we're there.
Perfect. I knew I came to the right place. I will sit down and, no. So, Unity Worldwide's vision statement says a world powerfully transformed through a growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. All right, so we're sharing in this room. That's not enough. That's preaching to the choir. The question is, how are you sharing who you are out in the world? How do you know who you are 24/7? You just sing the words. You are the place where God shows up. You are the representation of God, the only one that anyone who meets you is ever going to know. I know that all of you leave this place, and even though you have this common group of people, you all circulate in many different circles. Some of you still work, you all have friends, you all have family, you all have neighbors. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're the only representation of God they'll ever see. They aren't going to see me. They are not going to come to this church. They aren't even going to go to the other Unity Church. They may not show up in any synagogue or church in this town. But they see you. And when they see you, are they seeing all of the aspects that God is? You know, the evangelicals, you know, WWJD, you all know what that means, right?
What would Jesus do?
So they have it in necklaces, they have it in bumper stickers, they have, you know, it's all over the place. What would Jesus do? Now, the trick becomes, we don't care if they're saying Jesus or they're saying God. But that's honestly the question we have every time we open our mouth. Every time we act, every time we say anything to anyone. Do we believe that what we're saying or doing is what God would do, is what Jesus would do? When you're talking to that child of yours that irritates you beyond belief, when you are talking to the neighbor that has encroached one more time upon your flower bed, when you're driving in traffic, every word, every thought, you know, now we're back to principle number 3. Every word, every thought is creating your world. And you have to take a deep breath, because it's like, that's a lot to remember. So when we choose in each moment, what we're choosing is how we're going to be. Are we going to be a representation of our egoic self, or are we the representation of the divine? I personally think that's really pesky. I think it's not easy to do. I think it's easy to do when I'm standing here talking to you. I think it's easy to do when I'm with like-minded people. I don't think it's so easy to do when I'm somewhere else. When I'm with other people who are not reflecting much that's divine to me. So another pesky part of all of that is, so you pick a person that you dislike or have the hardest time getting along with. Sort of have a mental image of this person. And when you're looking at this person, be they a public figure, be they, again, your neighbor, can you see that person as divine? Are you seeing that God is also present in that individual? That even though we may not see how their actions or their words represent the divine in this world, we're looking at it with egoic eyes, not from a divine perspective. And even though I don't think God is up, it's the easiest way I can refer to God, God up. When a more accurate would be God within, God within, God within. But it's easier to look at each other in this setting and go, oh, I behold the Christ in you. Walk that on out the door, turn on your television set, and go, I behold the Christ in you. I don't understand how your action, your behavior fits in the divine plan, but I know that it does. You know, when we look at how long human beings have been a part of this planet, it's like a microsecond at the end of an hour. I watched a representation at convention last week that showed it as the last 3 seconds of time. So that's how long we've been here. And we are evolving. We can each find many, 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 many representations of how we as a species are evolving, how we're moving to a different level of being. And we can also see how much farther we have to go But we are the ones, guys. We are the ones. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Again, we mostly want someone to fix it. Raise your hand. Come on, raise your hand. You're the ones that are supposed to fix it. I'm the one who's supposed to fix it. And on the days where I feel too old, too creaky, too whatever, and I'm going, ugh, what I remind myself is, I woke up this morning.
Yeah, yay.
That's it. High five, Patty. High
Can't keep that girl down.
five. So, if I woke up this morning, I'm not through. There's something I'm supposed to be doing today. Maybe it requires me driving across the state. You know, I drove to Kansas City last week, and I drove back again, and then I drove here. So, on the times where I think, oh, no, excuse me, I woke up, my hands, my feet, my eyes, they still work. All I have to do is put my little butt in the seat and press the pedal, and here I go. But that's how it is every day, guys. You know, on the day when we don't wake up, we'll know we're done. It's okay. And we'll be fine. And people will miss us, okay, but we'll be fine. But I woke up. So I'm not finished. You woke up. You're not finished. And only you can discern what you're going to do. Charles Fillmore said, it is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. You know, even within unity, we miss the point. I missed the point for many years, including some of my years of ministry, that I honestly was, you know, we always say, I'm a whole and perfect child of God. Honey. I'm God. Right here, right now. You are God. Right here, right now. You. That breathe, you know, that's the Eddie Watkins song. That I think what's different about that song is that he's sort of putting it in a future tense, and when the unity group sings it, they put it in a present tense. That's honestly the only difference. I also think it's in a different key that's easier to sing. But I am the place where God lives. You say that.
I am the place where God lives.
Moves. Has its being. That's me. That's me. That's you. And when I heard that song for the first time, it made it real to me in a way that all my own preaching and all of everyone else's preaching never did. I am that. And another book, you all know Divine Audacity by Linda Martella Whitsitt. That first section before she gets into the 12 powers is so powerful because, again, she's calling you to recognize who you are, who I am, and how we are then called to live. John 14:6 would tell us we are the way, the truth, and the light of God. Matthew 5:14 through 16 says, you are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a light, puts it under a bushel basket. Well, how long has your light been under a bushel basket? And are you now at least, you know, putting little holes in the bushel basket so it can shine out? We put it on a lamp stand and give it light, and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. No, give glory to the truth of who you are. So, you know, that is not a unique message in Christianity. We can go to the Upanishads, which is a series of Hindu sacred treatises written in Sanskrit about 800 to 200 BC, so before Jesus, expounded in the Vedas primarily mystical and monistical terms. 3-13-7, the light that shines above the heavens and above this world, the light that shines in the highest world beyond which there are no others, that's the light that shines in the heart of, and it says men, but we know it means all of us. So, 200 to 800 years before Jesus walked the earth, this message was there. And we know that there have been individuals all that time that have gotten it. But it's kind of like popcorn. You know, one corn kernel pops, then another one, and then another one. And we're at a place today where the popcorn popper needs to go and boil over the top. Because if there has, you know, I'm pretty sure you could say this at any time in the world, but the world needs us to know who we are today. And the world needs us to be willing to stand up for who we are, for what we want to be, for what we want to do. You know, in God's spell, said, you're the light of the world. So our divine identity. Back in my Southern Baptist Sunday school, I learned this phrase, poem maybe. It says, what you are speaks so loud that the world can't hear what you say. They're looking at your walk, not listening to your talk. They're judging by your actions every day. Now, I learned that at Braley Union Church in Swanton, Ohio, when I was probably about this tall. And we would say it together over and over. Turns out, I thought, where did that come from? So, thank you, God, for Google. It's paraphrased from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And in his language, all he said was, they're looking at your walk, not listening to your talk. They're judging by your actions every day. So, somehow, because this was a country church, guys, this was not high church by any sense of the imagination. Somehow that paraphrase of Waldo Emerson made it into our Sunday school. But what a wonderful thing to say. You know, what would Jesus, God, do? What am I doing? Now, for me, there's a gap occasionally, from time to time. I know I am an exalted minister, but there is a gap. There is a gap from time to time between what I know to be true, the action that I could take, you know, it's here in front of me, and my own ability to step into that. And I like to say things in a positive way. I like to move into that truth, and I believe I do it better and better all the time. But I haven't gotten it right 100% of the time. And so we don't have a cat of nine tails. I'm not going to issue one to beat yourself up every time you fail to do it perfectly. Because what do we always get to do? Choose again.
Choose again.
We always get to choose again. We always get to choose again. However many times a day or an hour, we have to. But for us to remember that we are divine beings. And what do divine beings do? They honor all beings. Whoops. Again, your own list comes to mind, but they honor all beings. All the beings that have this form, all the beings that have other forms, all of the beings who are beyond form, all the beings in this place, all the beings in every other place, all of the beings who are beyond place, all of the beings regardless of time, all of the beings of all other times, all beings who are beyond time. We honor all beings who share this consciousness. We honor all beings of all other consciousness. Take a deep breath. Swallow. We honor all beings of all other consciousness. We honor all beings despite any differences or limitations of consciousness. Every being is absolutely as evolved as it can be in that moment. In the same way that Annette and I in 1987 were not who we are today. All beings, despite limitations of consciousness. All energy, every molecule of the universe has consciousness. And we are a part of that consciousness with all other beings. So we remember that we are the inner aspects of God, and we are the light of the world. So I just invite you to breathe. And as we take a breath and as we exhale, we let go of all those parts of us that we can find in this moment that limit us. Inhaling awareness. Exhaling limitation. Exhaling fear. Inhaling our divine self. Exhaling any belief that we can't. Any belief that we are not enough. Any limited form of thinking. We breathe it out and let it go. Breathing in our divine beingness. Breathing out. Holding that space. We hold this space for ourselves. We hold this space for each other. We hold this space for all of our leaders. Seeing them filled with consciousness, seeing them expressing every bit of consciousness that they possess in this moment. Holding a vision of who we are. Holding a vision of who they are and who they can become. Standing beside them, ready to be of service, ready to do the things that the aspects of God in us are called to do. Holding that space, the potential of our planet is in our energetic space. And we have come here to make a difference. We have come here to be the ones to just take one small step forward in that direction as the planet expands with oneness and love. We raised our hands, we signed up to be here right now. We are the ones. Thank you, God, for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing us to be here right now in the center of the action, that we might be the light of the world. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is,